Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this Fireside Chat, which is part of a Thinking Outside the Box series of webinars and resources to support your work as it relates to engaging and maintaining volunteers. My name is Serena Wiesner, and I'm a healthy aging and nutrition consultant with the Administration for Community Living in the Office of Nutrition and Health Promotion Programs. Today, I will be chatting with Agnes Mak about her experience utilizing volunteers to successfully run nutrition programs in New York. Agnes is a licensed master social worker and is a senior director of aging wellness at the New York City Department for the Aging. She oversees 2 nutrition grants, nutrition counseling services, wellness, evidence-based and health promotion trainings and activities, as well as technology programs. Many, many hats. She's a grant manager of the Virtual Smart Living Initiative, which is a 3-year innovative nutrition grant funded by ACL. So thanks so much for joining me today, Agnes. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to share our experience from Virtual Smart Living. I have a
Wonderful.
couple of screens to share so that it will make it easier for the audience to follow. So I would like to tell everybody a little bit about Virtual Smart Living to begin with. And
Yep,
I'm going to share my screen now.
great.
Is this working? No.
I see your whole screen.
Yeah. So, no, I need to do this again. Okay, is it working now?
All right. Yep, I see
Okay,
PowerPoint. Yep.
okay, all right. So the Virtual Smart Living Initiative is a 3-year project funded by the ACL grant. Um, we utilize a holistic approach to address not only the nutritional need of older adults, but we also take into account that their social and mental health needs as well, because we know that when someone is not eating properly, it could be related to an emotional need or a mental health need. So the services that we provide under Virtual Smart Living Initiative are individual nutrition counseling, group nutrition sessions, virtual learning events such as our monthly live cooking demonstrations and nutrition workshops, a mental health intervention program called Do More Feel Better, and Senior Tech Watch, which is a technology group for older adults to learn how to use the MyPlay app. All of our services are provided virtually.
Wonderful. That is a lot of activities going on, Agnes. Tell me a little bit about what roles volunteers play within your Virtual Smart Living initiative.
So I'm going to share screen again.
Mm.
Um, Um, with the Virtual Smart Living Initiative, we have 2 groups of volunteers that perform very different roles. One group of volunteers are involved with the Do More Feel Better initiative, whereby it's a peer-led mental health intervention, which is a 9-week course of intervention provided to older adults. So the volunteer coaches will be responsible for screening older adults for depression and anxiety, conduct the Do More Feel Better intervention, which is a 9-session course, and do surveys on clients after the intervention. Now, mind you that the volunteers do not survey the clients that they provide intervention to. They survey someone else's clients. For the nutrition volunteers, they are responsible for doing client outreach, reaching out to clients to set up virtual nutrition counseling appointments. Because remember, some clients may not know how to activate the video function of their smart device to join us for nutrition counseling. They also moderate our live cooking demonstrations, do all the preparation for it, including researching for recipes, creating flyers for the event, creating recipe cards to be shared with participants. And of course, after the live cooking demonstration and nutrition counseling, they also conduct client satisfaction surveys for us.
That's wonderful. So they really are a key part of your program, these volunteers.
They are. I am proud to say that through the course of our 3-year grant, which is coming to an end this August, we have a total of 47 volunteers working for us. 17 of them work for nutrition, and 30 of them work for Do More, Feel Better. We only have 2 grant staff for this initiative, but we have 47 volunteers. So without them, we would not be able to provide all the services and enhance the services the way we want it. I would also
Mhm.
like to mention that 18 of our volunteers are bilingual. They speak a variety of languages, including Spanish, Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese, Korean, Russian, and Hebrew. So,
Wow.
some of our live cooking demonstrations and nutrition counseling services and groups were provided in those languages thanks to all the skills and talents of our volunteers.
Oh, that is just wonderful. And one word that I keep hearing you bring up is virtual. And I think that's one of the amazing things that you've been able to do, because this was launched almost still in the middle of the pandemic for sure. And so you were able to grow this cohort um, without even seeing people in person. Can you tell me a little bit more about the aspects of that virtual volunteering? Is that something that you had done before? Is that something that the volunteers had done before? Kind of just tell me about that.
No, this is certainly an innovative nutrition grant, so we have not done any of this before, and so we were building the plane as we were flying it. And it is a lot of learning, and we sort of learn as we went along. Um, but the fact that, you know, this, I think we wrote the proposal at the beginning of the pandemic, knowing the needs of people that we need to reach while people were in isolation. However, of course, nobody expected the pandemic to last so long, and for older adults to have taken so long to come back out to in-person activities. So, so the design of the program sort of fits right well with the needs of our older adult participants during the pandemic, whereby they didn't have to leave the house to uh, get service, and our volunteers who are desperately looking for opportunities to do something and learn something had the opportunity of doing that because what we do is all virtual.
That's so wonderful. And you offer, I mean, at a time when people were probably feeling very lonely and isolated, you were able to have this whole group of volunteers who were providing social interaction for your clients, but they themselves were also getting that social connection as well.
Yes, definitely. I would say that the benefit is for both the participants and for the volunteers. We found out that the reason why people look to volunteer during the pandemic was because they were trying to look for a purpose in life. They were looking for that social connection and to make their time productive and meaningful. And
Mhm.
I would also say that they did not just volunteer their time. I think they get a lot out of it because of the support and the training opportunities that we provide under the grant. For Do More, Feel Better, we have a clinical psychologist who's also a university uh, professor and a researcher who is our Do More, Feel Better expert, who not only provided 5 sessions training, 1 hour each session to our Do More, Feel Better coaches before they start working, but he also provided ongoing weekly supervision for our coaches so that the
Mhm.
coaches will feel supported while they are meeting with their clients virtually, while they are providing this mental health intervention to the clients. You can only imagine how scary it will be for you to be working with someone who has anxiety and depression, and you are not trained as a helping professional, and how scary it will be if they talk about something and you don't know how to respond and how to deal with it. But I think
Mhm.
that weekly supervision and support and the training that we provide not only allow the volunteers to do their work, but they also gain from the process because then they get something for themselves too. And if there are somebody in their personal life that they need to help, they know how to handle because now they have the skills. For our dietetic volunteers, I think it works the same way. Most of our dietetic volunteers are dietetic students or people who are interested in the nutrition field who would like to volunteer specifically. So our registered dietitians will guide them on how to look for recipes. They will also observe in our nutrition counseling sessions so that they will have firsthand experience as to what a registered dietitian does and what are the ins and outs and the details of preparing for a nutrition education session or preparing for live cooking demonstrations. What are
Mhm.
the behind the scene skills that you will need in order to conduct a session like that? And of course, other skills such as your technology skills, right? Some of our interns, before we implemented the Senior Tech Watch Technology Group, it was it were the interns that did research online to see which app are we going to teach the seniors to use so that they can achieve healthy eating and healthy living. And we also wanted an app that is free of charge to the seniors. We wanted an app that is going to be helpful, that is easy to use. So it was really the intern that did that research and decided that this is right for us.
That's so wonderful. That's so great. I mean, I just love this idea of it being a win-win for the volunteers and for the clients. Um, Tell me a little bit about how you identified your volunteers. So obviously the students, are showing interest because they're learning that topic. They're learning about nutrition and dietetics. But I mean, how did you get them to be involved?
Um, This is an interesting subject because at the beginning we didn't know where to find those volunteers, right? Where are they in this world? Because we were all in um, lockdown, and you when you go out to the streets, you can't even find people to talk to, right? Where do you find those people who want to volunteers? So we had several ways. We had access to a list serve that for the dietetic interns, we have access to a list serve that has all the um, registered dietitian network, including the schools. And we first got attention from the dietetic schools who said, well, we have students who are looking for dietetic internship. And of course, all in-person internships were suspended. We are so glad that you were able to offer that opportunity. And then there were other students that are affiliated with dietetic schools who said, although I am not ready for an internship, I would like to volunteer my time because I want to learn more about how you would do this. So we got our dietetic interns that way. The New York City Department for the Aging also has a portal online where people, when they visit our website, they will read about volunteer opportunities that we have. And of course, pre-pandemic, people can volunteer in person, on site at any one of our older adult centers. During the pandemic, they were all closed. But when people read about our volunteer opportunities, they said, "Oh, I can do this too." Some of our volunteers for Do More, Feel Better are older adults um, who used to volunteer on site at the older adult centers. And others are students or young professionals who are looking for something meaningful to do. It may be related to their study or to their profession, it may not be. So that's how we got our volunteers. I'm sure that some of them word of mouth also, because I think we got some dietetic volunteers from word of mouth, from students talking to students and say, I tried this and I think this is pretty good. Do you also want to do this?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh, word of mouth is so powerful for sure. So tell me a little bit. So as you mentioned, you're kind of wrapping up your innovations grant. But what do you see kind of next for this program or the volunteers? Do you Are you going to continue to have these virtual options and that kind of thing? Can you just tell me a little bit about that?
We certainly are looking to continue what we started after the funding discontinued. When we have volunteers who can volunteer virtually, you know that they can volunteer from any place in the world. We have had volunteers who were from different states. As long as they can manage the time zone issue, it's not an issue. And of course, because the work that they do, some of the work that they do can be done outside of office hours. Say, for example, when they research for recipes, even when they see clients, it could be done outside of their work hours. If they do surveys, they can do it on weekends. Um, a lot of the work could be done remotely from anywhere uh, you are. I think we are looking to continue this so that we will be able to maintain our volunteer workforce.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think you make such a good point because so many of us in the aging network think about volunteer opportunities as kind of something that happens, 9 to 5 or happens at a location. And here you are giving these opportunities that, as you say, can be done anywhere. And they, can be done anytime, really, for some of these, like you're saying, searching for different recipes and that kind of thing. I think to me, that sounds like that opens your kind of pool of possibilities enormously. Do you think that you might expand the use of virtual volunteers to other programs as well?
I will have to talk to, um, I will have to think a little bit more about that. And
Mhm.
certainly, wherever it is applicable, I would be happy to expand this because we had already learned how to use this. um, Virtual tool, which is Zoom, to engage people and to work with people, we certainly can continue that with other programs.
Yeah,
There's
right.
also one thing that I would like to mention that
Mhm.
our volunteers have done, which I think we will definitely continue, will be for them to translate our recipe cards and our virtual workshop material, the PowerPoint slides, um, into different languages. And we keep them in our document library for people to access. And that's also something that they can do remotely and anytime that they have the time to do. And whenever they are done, they will just give it to us. We will have one of the language experts within the Department for the Aging, review it for accuracy, and then we can upload it into the library for everybody else to access.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Absolutely. I feel like that need is vast and there's so many opportunities for it.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
for example, even though we might not have too many Korean speaking or Russian speaking clients that we are currently serving, by
Mhm.
having those volunteers who speak those languages and who are proficient in translating them, we would then be able to use the material in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, if you were talking to maybe a state unit on aging or an area agency on aging, and they're interested in utilizing more virtual volunteers, what advice would you give to them?
We have several of them. We have had volunteers who started and it at the beginning who started and then realized that this is really not for them, that this is not something that they're comfortable doing, and they were like, "Okay, thank you, but no thank you. I won't be able to volunteer for you." So what we have learned, number one, is when we were recruiting for volunteers, we have to have a process where we meet with them individually or as a group to go over what the volunteer opportunity will be, what they are expected to do, what skill sets we are looking for, what is the time commitment for this volunteering opportunity. For example, for Do More Feel Better, because it requires a 4 week training, and if they start seeing clients, it's a 9 week course of intervention. It wouldn't be worth the while if they only want to volunteer for 3 months, right?
Right.
because then they will be able to see one client, two clients, and then it's done, finished. And if they don't get a client soon enough, they may not even be able to finish the 9 week volunteer course, right? So, to be able to talk to the volunteer candidates and let them understand what this is involved is important, including time commitment. How much time do you need? And you must attend our supervision session every week, which happens on this day at this time. Now, if someone is working and that is absolutely not the right time for them, then they would not be able to volunteer. So we don't want people to start without understanding what the expectations are and what they are getting themselves into. I think that to me is crucial in making the volunteer experience successful for both them and us. um, the other thing that we learn is the importance of ongoing support for our volunteers.
Mm.
We cannot expect them to take the ball and run with it without checking in with them, making sure that if they have questions, that the questions are answered, and to give them ongoing professional support. That is
Mhm.
especially important not only for the dietetic volunteers, because sometimes we may think that they know, but they really don't know in terms of where to look for the information. When they call a client, the client hang up on them because I don't know who you are. You're calling me to schedule a nutrition counseling session, but I think this is a scam. Or they may be yelled at because the client wasn't in a good mood, or it wasn't a good day. I don't know.
Right.
Again, I don't know who you are. I don't know your phone number. I don't know why you're calling me. So sometimes the experience could be frustrating. It's not always positive. So it's important for us to maintain regular contact to support our volunteers. I think that also contributes to the successful experience of the volunteers, and that also contributes to the longevity of our volunteers. We have had volunteers who work for us from the beginning of the grant, and by now they work for us for 2.5 years. And it's
Wow.
and I think it's all because we're able to provide that support, and they feel that they have personal growth and professional growth from the experience.
That is amazing. Absolutely. Do you have any do you have like a written process or tools like um I know that I mean this is wonderful the support that you give to volunteers. Do you have like a memorandum of agreement or any like job descriptions that you use?
I think we have written documents definitely for our internal purposes, because for the purpose of the grant and for the purpose of replication by somebody else, we
Yeah.
have written down everything that we have done. We have also written down all the steps that we have gone
Yeah.
through, all the best practices. So we definitely have those documents. I In terms of what the volunteers are expected to do and what they can expect from their volunteer experience, I do not know if we share those documents with the volunteers. I would not be surprised if we did,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
that people
Mhm.
can then go home and look at the document and think more about it and see if this
Yeah.
is a good fit for them.
Right, right. Do the volunteers have an opportunity to kind of chat with each other as well?
In our group meetings with them every week, they do have the opportunity to chat with each other, because we feel that group learning is also important. It's not just our professionals teaching you what to do, it's also helpful for people to learn from each other.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that probably has contributed to the longevity of those volunteers as well, to really feel like they're a part of a group that's doing pretty amazing things.
Right. There's also one more thing that I would like to mention, which is, like I
Yeah.
said, some of our volunteers volunteer for a longer stretch of time. It's also important to offer them a break in between. Just
Okay.
as people who are working will every so often need to take vacation time,
Yeah.
our volunteers also sometimes need to take a break so that they do not feel burnt out. That
Yes.
is especially true for clients, for volunteers who are involved in uh, helping process such as nutrition counseling or for Do More Feel Better. After
Mhm.
you finish seeing clients for 3 months, you are tired.
Mm.
You want to recharge. And it's okay for us to tell them, do you want to take a break for a couple of months? Or the holiday day times are coming. Would you like to spend some time with your family and come back to volunteer again in
Right.
January?
Right,
And
right. I
not
think that's so good because
and
I
not
think
to
a
give
lot
them
of people are afraid that if they initiate a break like that or offer a break to their volunteers, that the volunteer won't come back. And I
right.
think that's a fear. But you're saying, what I hear you saying is that it can actually make them more likely to volunteer for a longer time when they have those
Right.
breaks.
And
Yep.
you're correct. Some volunteers may be afraid to ask for a break because they are afraid that now you're going to give my work to somebody else and I won't be able to continue with you. So it's important for us to offer that as an option to our volunteers so that they can give themselves permission to rest and recharge. I think that's also very important. And it shouldn't interfere with their ability to help others. And they may be able to do better when they come back from their break.
Right. Oh, when I take a break, I am a much better in a better just frame of mind, and I'm physically better able to keep up with work demands. So absolutely, I can imagine that's the same for volunteers.
Especially during the pandemics. Our clients are so very needy, and sometimes is psychologically very consuming to be in a helping process all the time, all the time.
Right, right. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Agnes, this has been so wonderful chatting with you about this. Do you have any other just key takeaways, or what's one thing that you want people to just walk away from this chat knowing?
I would say that the potential for volunteers are infinite because again they come with different skills and different experiences and they give us so much that we can only be thankful for. So it's not just the time that they're offering to us, but it's also their skill sets and the experience that they bring to us. We have had volunteers who are very good with technology, above and beyond what we know about Canva, which is a online tool to create posters and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we have had volunteers that are so good with technology that they know how to troubleshoot for us. They know how to teach us how to do certain things in a better way, or what the different features are with these different apps that we use that we don't even know about. So I would say do not be afraid to ask what the volunteers, what skill sets they have and what they know about, because if we don't even know, we won't know what they can offer. So I would say when
Yes.
you meet with your volunteers, ask them what the skill sets are, what the experiences are, and don't be afraid to sort of think beyond the limits.
Yeah, absolutely. So not just like, here's what I need from you, but what can you offer as well? What are your skills and what are your interests? And then how can we mesh those two together? I think that's wonderful.
Right. And in interviewing a volunteer is almost like getting to know a new friend.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we do not want to be too task oriented and just want to know whether you can do something for us, but get to know them a little bit more. What do they do in their leisure time? And that's when you find out what are the skills you may be able to, that they may be able to contribute to your project.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you, Agnes, for sharing this information and for all that you are doing in New York for your clients and with your volunteers. I think this is a wonderful model for other people across the Aging Services Network. It's just been wonderful. And for those of you who are joining us, we are going to include some information. Agnes has some slides that she's going to share with us, and we'll also link to some additional resources. And we just thank you for listening in and hope that you have gained some new knowledge from this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.